Yesterday it was elderly people in nursing homes. Today it's people with disabilities living in institutional care centres. Another day, another scandal involving the conscious abuse of state power to defraud the most vulnerable people. Rather than caring for these people, as the state is legally obliged to do, instead a decision was taken, and repeatedly taken, at the highest level, to rip them off. I was listening earlier, the Taoiseach said that the state didn't have a leg to stand on legally when it came to people with disabilities. The rip-off took place in two ways. Firstly, by not paying them the disability payments they were legally entitled to, and then by covering that up and adopting the same hush-hush, settle-out-of-court legal strategy as with nursing home charges. Taoiseach, you were forced yesterday, a day after saying you had nothing to do with it, you were forced to admit that you were personally implicated in the nursing home scandal, along with pretty much the entire political establishment over the last 50 years. But a question in relation to the disability payments, which also includes a period whereby you were the Minister for Health. Are you personally implicated in this plan to defraud tens of thousands of people with disabilities? Will you take the opportunity to apologise to these people and their families as a first step to ensuring that they receive every penny to which they are entitled? If you accept that the state didn't have a legal leg to stand on, well then why was this strategy pursued?
Thanks very much, Deputy, for your questions. Again, just in relation to the historic nursing home charges, this is the private nursing homes. I want to emphasise once again that this doesn't relate to anyone who's currently in a nursing home today or in recent years. It relates to charges prior to the 2005-2006 period. The matter was resolved prospectively when the Fair Deal was set up in 2009, which is the legal basis by which anyone can receive a place in a nursing home and sets out the contributions that they have to make towards that, if any. The state, the taxpayer, has compensated those who paid charges in public nursing homes at a cost of €480 million. That was the right thing to do, and it was done at the time. In relation to private nursing homes, the situation is different, and that was explained at the time, back in 2006. The government doesn't accept that medical card patients ever had an unqualified entitlement to free private nursing home care. And even today, medical card patients that choose or are forced to go privately don't get a refund. And where we do pay for private care for people with medical cards, it's done by prior agreement. There's a system in place. You can't just bill the government after the fact. It was never the intention of the government or the Oireachtas to create such an entitlement, and that's clear from the debates at the time, and that does matter. Some cases have been settled, others have not, and there is a report now awaited from the AG. I do think the legal strategy has been misrepresented and memos have been selectively quoted. It is clear from the memos that I've seen, and I'm sure I haven't seen them all, but it is clear from the memos that I've seen that the strategy was to identify a test case or a lead case and then to defend it. And the state sets out what its bona fide defence would be, and there are 3 lines of defence, and any one of them would have been adequate. Cases were settled, as I mentioned, but not all, and that was done on an individual basis. I think the issue of the disability payment is a different one. The legal advice is different and much more clear. I haven't seen the 2009 memo. I just saw the programme on prime time last night. I have seen the 2011 one, but only recently, and I will look into it further. But as I said earlier, this relates to prior to 2007. The disability allowance has been paid in full for the past 15 years to people with disabilities in long-term care. It does relate to the period before that, and I think that is significant. The 3 coalition leaders have discussed the nursing homes issue, as has the whole cabinet. We haven't discussed the issue of the disability payment as yet, but I'm sure we will. But one thing I would caution people to do is not to read memos in isolation. There may be many different memos and many different briefing documents that might put a different picture on things. And I would caution people not to selectively read or selectively quote memos. Government memos can be 50, 60 pages long. It's very easy to take out a sentence or a paragraph and create a particular impression from that. When it's seen in totality, the entire memo and all of the other memos that came before and after, the situation may look very difficult. And I know members know that it may look very different. I know members know that deep down. They mightn't want to bother with that. But all of you will have files, documents in your offices you take out one paragraph or one page from that big file, it would not create an accurate impression as to what the entire file looks like. And I know you know that, and I know it doesn't suit you to know that, but you do know that. Just in relation to tax on investment funds, the government obviously keeps all tax matters under review, and there are finance bills every year. But I'm not at liberty, obviously, to say what might be in them, but when they're published, it becomes clear.